Welcome to Drive the Daf. Clear, structured explanation of the daily daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Rosh Hashana Daf Lamed Hey is the last daf of the Masechta. We'll begin with the last 10, 12 lines on Daf Lamed Dalet, and we're discussing the machlokes which we've seen in the Mishnah as to what is the main Shmona Esrei. What is the Shmona Esrei which we're yotze with? Is it that of the Shliach Tzibor, where he says out loud, or is everybody obligated to say their own private Shmona Esrei and you're yotze with that? So Gemara said, Mishnah said it's machlokes Rav Gamliel and the Chachamim. Rav Gamliel said that the main Shemona Esrei is that of the Shliach Tzibor, and everybody listens to him and they're yotze with him. And according to the Chachamim, it is the private Shemona Esrei that everybody says that's the only thing that they're yotze with. So the Gemara here begins with a brisa that extends their conversation, and then the Gemara will get into whether or not there was actually changing here, and one side agreed to the other side, possibly a third Tana or set of Tanaim that mixes in, and the Gemara will conclude what we do with Maisa. So it says as follows: the Chachamim said to Rav Gamliel, according to you, that the main thing we're yotze with is the tefillah of the Shliach Tzibor. Why do the Tzibor say any Shemona Esrei at all? And so Rav Gamliel answered, that's just stealing for time. The Shliach Tzibor had to prepare himself to make sure he's going to say the Shemona Esrei properly. In those days, many of them said it by heart, and therefore he needs time to prepare. Now, Rav Gamliel said to them, according to you, that everybody says their own Shemona Esrei, what's the point in Shliach Tzibor Shemona Esrei? So they answered, that's for the people who don't know how to say their own Shemona Esrei, to be yotze with them. So he said, well, if those people are yotze with the Shliach Tzibor, then so is everybody else. Even the people who could say their own Shemona Esrei are still yotze with him. Now, the Gemara says what happened with this. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Bar Chana said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the Chachamim changed and they agreed to Rabbi Gamliel that the main tefillah is that of the Shliach Tzibor, and the other ones is just for other reasons. But we should really be yotze with the tefillah of the Chazan, of the Shliach Tzibor. That was what Rabbi Yochanan said. Rav said, no, the machlokes continues. And there was never a time which the Chachamim changed and agreed. So the Gemara quotes some more discussion here. The Gemara says that Rav Chia Breder Abba Bar Nachmeni heard about this, and he went and he said over to Rav Dimi Bar Chinina, and he said, no, Rav said it's still a machlokes. Now, Rabbi Bar Chana said as follows. Rav Yochanan said this as well. And when Rav Yochanan said that the Chachamim agreed, Rish Lakish also argued on him, and he said, no, the machlokes still continues. So we have Rav Yochanan saying that the Chachamim agreed to Rav Gamliel, and we have Rav and Rish Lakish saying that they did not agree. Now the Gemara asks, but we have a quote here that of Chana Tzipora said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that the halacha is like Rav Gamliel. That indicates that the machlokes still stands, but he's making a ruling in the halacha. So how can you tell me that there's no machlokes? So the Gemara wants to split it. The Gemara says that in some way they agreed and there's no machlokes, and in some way there is a machlokes and the halacha is like Rabban Gamliel. What's the way? The Gemara tries a couple options here. So the Gemara says when Rabbi Abba came back from the sea, he said that the Chachamim agreed to Rabban Gamliel about Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. They argued about all other Shemona Esreis. The Gemara will explain later why Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur are different. So the Gemara says that can't be correct, because Rav Chana Tzipora said specifically that Rav Yochanan said the halacha is like Rabban Gamliel about the Shemona Esrei of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur. So he could not possibly be that they agreed about that. So Rav Nachman Yitzchak says no. You know who agreed? Not all the Chachamim agreed. One agreed. Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir changed and he said that the halacha is like Rabban Gamliel. He changed to agree, but the other Chachamim still stay in their own position. So the Gemara quotes a brisa that spells this out. The brisa says that the Shemona Esrei of Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, the Shliach Tzibor, is mighty everybody, according to Rabbi Meir. So you see that Rabbi Meir is saying like Rabbi Gamliel. The Chachamim disagree. The Chachamim say that the Shliach Tzibor is chayev and every individual has to say their own tefillah at all. Alright, now the Gemara wants to know, why is Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur different? Why do we say that their Shemona Esreis are separate, and there we had a possibility that the Chachamim agree, and we even see that Rabbi Meir agreed? So Gemara says, maybe it's because there's a lot of psukim there. It's hard to remember all the psukim you have to say. There's machlokes rishonim here, which psukim we're referring to. Are we referring to Malchus, Zechanos, and Shovos, or are we referring to the Karbanos of Musaf of Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Chodesh? So Gemara says it can't be the psukim because we have a halacha of Rav that you don't have to actually say the psukim. Once you say the phrase of V'sirascha kasav leimer, that's enough. So that wouldn't be a reason to change the halacha there that everybody should be yotzei with the shliach tzibur. So Gemara says it's because the brachos themselves are very long and they're hard for people to remember and to say the entire thing, especially at the time when you didn't have a lot of siddur. All right, now the Gemara focuses on this halacha of Rav that it's enough to just say B'sirascha kasav leimer. You don't have to say the psukim. So Gemara says we used to think that that's only when an individual was davening alone, but the tzibur you do have to spell them out. Rabbi Shua ben Levi came and said no, even the tzibur you don't have to spell each of them out. If you just said V'sirascha kasav leimer, that's enough. You are yaitza. Right now we have a halacha of Rav Elazar. He says that a person should always prepare his tefillah before he gets up to do tefillah. He should review it in his mind, make sure he's going to say it correctly. Says Rabbi Abba, that's true on Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, and on certain tefillahs which you don't say often, like Yom Tov and things like that. But tefillahs which you say all the time, every day Shemon Esrei, you don't have to prepare in advance because you remember it well. Someone says, is that true? Rav Yehuda used to prepare himself before every tefillah that he said. Rav Yehuda was different. Rav Yehuda, his custom was that he was only mispal. He only said Shemon Esrei once every 30 days. We're trying to explain, he used to review his learning every 30 days, and he went through an intense period of learning where he didn't stop for anything, and somebody on that level doesn't have to stop for tefillah, so he wasn't mispal. And once he finished his entire learning, he davened, and then he went back and he started his cycle of reviewing all his learning over again. Okay, now, we had seen earlier that Rabbi Gamliel holds that the Shliach Tzibur is motzi everyone. Says the Gemara of Acha bar Avira, says that in the name of Shem Chasida, the Rabbi Gamliel holds even people who didn't come to shul, even people out in the fields, are yotze with the Shliach Tzibur Shemon Esrei as well. Someone says, what do you mean even the people in the fields? People in the fields should for sure be yotze with the Shemon Esrei because they couldn't come to the shul because they were stuck in the fields. Their work, they were in oinus, their work held them over in the fields. But the people who were in shul should be saying their own Shemon Esrei, or the people who could come to shul should be saying their own Shemon Esrei. Right, and we can support that with halacha that we know that in Berachas Kahanim, you're only you are mitzi the people who are out in the fields, but you're not mitzi the people. The Berachas Kahanim does not apply to people who are behind the kayin, meaning that they are not in shul properly. Those people don't have an excuse, but those out in the fields are viewed as an einus. Verse says yes, correct. We'll change the halacha that Ravin said in the name of Yaakov Aridi, in the name of Shimon Chasida. Rav Shimon, that Rabban Gamliel said, only the people in the fields are yotze with the tefillah of the Shliach Tzibur, not regular people who are in the city. They should have come to shul. If they didn't, their own problem, and they're not yotze with the tefillah of the Shliach Tzibur. Hadron alach, Mesachas Rosh Hashana, v'hadron alach.
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethedaf@gmail.com.